Greetings, everyone, and good evening. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today is also Viewer Appreciation Day. We've got one of our longtime loyal viewers on the Zoom line. Welcome to Sea of Tranquility, Mr. Rand Kelly, all the way from California. How are you today, my friend?
I'm kind of sad, Pete, because of the loss of Eddie Van Halen. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for bringing me on. I really appreciate it. It's an
Well,
honor.
thanks for joining.
Hi,
I'm just
everybody.
sorry that we've got such a quite frankly a shitty day to be doing ranking the albums of brandx because we just got the news of Eddie's passing a couple hours ago, and it's basically a bummer to everybody. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not much more to be said about it.
My wife texted me from work and told me I didn't even know because I was watching YouTube, one of your videos, and they Hudson Valley Squares guy.
Yeah, sad day. But you know what? Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about a very cool fusion band. Call them jazz fusion. They're also got a bit of prog rock in them. They've got a very good cast of characters that have been in and out of this band. So they got their kind of start in the mid 70s, while a guy named Phil Collins was still playing, obviously, with Genesis. Along with John Goodsall on guitar and Percy Jones on bass and all sorts of other different players who came and went. The band brandx is synonymous with pretty adventurous and amazing instrumental music for the most part. They did have vocals from time to time, but not a huge catalog. We're looking at, so Rand and I are going to talk about 8 studio albums today. They've got a couple other albums that like collect rarities and things like that. They've got some live albums. We're going to look at the 8 studio albums proper. And we're going to rank them in the order of our preference. I think, if you've never heard brandx before, hopefully you'll learn a little bit something today about this band. But I think if you are interested in Return to Forever and Tony Williams' Lifetime and the Mahavishnu Orchestra and Weather Report, and we could go on and name other, pretty known bands.
11th House.
11th House with Larry Coryell, absolutely. Even if you like later stuff like Tribal Tech and the Chick Corea Electric Band, you'll love these guys. I mean, just fantastic. And I will say, I think most people think pretty highly of Phil Collins's drum skills in Genesis. You ain't heard nothing yet till you listen to some of these early brandx albums, right? Pretty intense stuff. And then, of course, you've got the amazing fretless bass playing of Percy Jones and John Goodsall, who absolutely rips it up on the guitar with an intensity probably that rivals Mr. McLaughlin, Mr. Dimiola, and, the other usual suspects. So as I always do, I'm going to let my guest kick it off today with his number 8 choice.
Okay, before we start, I just want to show everybody something.
Yeah, NBA, no bad albums.
NBA. Yeah. So this list, you got to start somewhere.
You
right?
have to, right? You got to.
Okay. In 1982, Phil Collins returned because Genesis was down. And they did this album, Is There Anything About? So this is going to be number 8 for me. Mainly because it lacks fire. To just like if you think about the early ones and the energy level and stuff, this one doesn't have much of it. It's more like a Steely Dan record, which is nothing wrong with it, Percy Jones only plays on 2 songs on here. The rest are John Giblin. Phil Collins is on every song. And they did one, except for, actually, that's not true because the last song is called TMIU ATGA. People were trying to figure it out. Then finally at the bottom of the record, it said that stands for they're making it up as they go along. So, yeah, no Phil Collins on that one. It's all just Percy and Robin Lumley and John Goodsall sort of just spacing out. It's nice, it's ambient and everything. But it's number 8.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna agree with you on that one. My number 8 is also Is There Anything About?
Ooh, you have the CD of that.
I have the CD of this.
I was trying to get one of those the other day on Discogs. It was going for $51. I said, I'll just go with my LP.
Well, this is a Gonzo multimedia reissue that from out of the UK that came out a few years back. And yeah, because
Nice.
this was out of print for like an eternity, and it's probably out of print once again.
It is.
Um, you know what the issue with this album? It's not a terrible album, but you know when they made the album product, they recorded a lot of material. So the two albums that they released afterwards were basically just kind of like outtakes and leftovers that didn't make that original album. And you know what? This out of the three of them really sounds like it. Um, Obviously the weakest out of those three collections that came out, but still some good stuff on here. The title track, I think, has got some good funky rhythms on it. You got some airy keyboards and, you know, really blazing good soul solo on that particular track. A Longer April is pretty strong. Swan Song is a good tune, but you know, there's only 6 tracks on here. You have a lot of different guys playing on the album. It sounds kind of pieced together, and it sounds like leftovers, but it's
You know, it's
still,
funny. I'm
still
sorry.
good.
I was going to say, it's funny they have a Longer April, and on product there's one called April.
Yeah. So again, it's probably a different take, right? A little extra solos, but yeah, not terrible. Definitely, in my opinion, the weakest of the bunch, but still some good stuff on here. I
It's
think.
their gaucho.
Yeah, you could say that. Yep, you could say that. So, all right, back to you.
I like gaucho.
I do too. I
Okay.
like all the Steely Dan albums. Yeah.
Number 7, I have it on CD. Manifest Destiny. This was a 1997 kind of a comeback because we kind of thought they disappeared. You know, this is a crazy album. I mean, it's just they're out of their minds. It's almost too experimental. I wrote that in my notes. Like Jeff says, the clipboard never lies. But anyways, I love Jeff. I do. He's awesome. Anyways, yeah, it's number 7. It's a crazy album. They got a new drummer, Frank Katz, and he loves to play. And they give him a lot of solos, and he solos like all the time. And you know, and it's good, but it's just kind of crazy. And if you're not in the right mood, it can give you a headache. You know, but it's good stuff. It's crazy. Kind of like King Crimson in the 80s.
It's a good comparison, I think. That's also my number 7. That's also my number 7.
Oh my gosh.
We're matching again. Boy, this
Tell
is crazy.
everybody we didn't talk about this.
We did. I never compare notes with any guest. I never
Yeah.
do that. So it's all
Disclaimer.
by chance. Yep. And I don't have that one on CD. I don't have a physical copy of that. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that's probably their least melodic album. It's kind
I
of
was going to
noisy.
say that. Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
melodies at all.
No, it's
Yes.
kind of noisy. I think there's a lot of different musicians on that album. Maybe it has a little too many flavors, but there's some good stuff on there. I think True to the Click is a really cool song, and man, Good Soul just kills on that one. You got Virus, another really cool tune.
Yeah, I like Virus a lot.
Virus is good, pretty energetic. Oh, the title track is probably one of the more melodic pieces on there. Operation Hearts and Minds is really cool, right? Some tasty guitars.
I love that. Yeah.
So I think it's pretty strong of an album.
But they put out a song called Drum Doo-Doo, which is strange.
yeah. Well, there's some strange stuff on there, and there's a lot of tunes on there. But it's the last thing we would hear from them. That's their last studio album to date, you know. So
right, yeah. They've been putting out a lot of live stuff, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. So that's my number 7. So back to you at number 6.
Dokey. Well, jumping down. I hope we don't keep matching. This is going to be crazy if we do. They were gone for quite a while. From Is There Anything About, which was 82.
10 years, yeah.
Nothing until 1992 when they came back with Excommunication. Gotta love the legs on that cover. But anyway, this is kind of like Manifest Destiny, except there's more melody on this album. John Goodsall, they don't have a keyboard player here, so John Goodsall is doing everything on guitar synthesizer. So it really does sound a lot like that version of King Crimson. Some of their song titles are funny too. The first one is called Xanax Taxi, which I thought would have been perfect for one of the Crimson albums. But yeah, I like it. I mean, it's good. Again, it's you know, there's no Phil Collins. Frank Katz is just, I don't know where that guy came from, but my God, he's great. Great
Yeah.
drummer.
Yeah, really good. Well, Rand, we've done it again.
3 for 3.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like their Power Trio album, right? I mean, it's,
Yeah.
you know, the guitar synth stuff is nice, but I kind of miss having like a real keyboard player there. But I think it's still really good. I mean, if you want to listen to a brandx album that is heavy with good soul guitars and Percy Jones bass with cats going ballistic underneath, that's what this album is.
Yeah.
Liquid Time is an ass kisser. No, ass kicker. Yeah, that's what 3 beers will do to you, right? Kaczynski's Period is a really good song. You got the really wild Mental Floss, which
What's
has
that
some.
one that says, see, there's no song titles on the Orbit CD, so you have to kind of look at the disc, but there's a duck exploding.
A duck
now,
exploding.
That's
Yeah.
a good title.
Yeah, that's a really, really intense song. There's some pretty intense stuff on this album. I think if you want like brandx at their like heaviest and most raucous, that's probably the album for you. It's not very refined. That's, you know, and you mentioned like some of the 90s era Crimson, which I think is a good comparison here. It's pretty noisy. It's pretty metallic. I miss the keyboards on this album, but I think if you just want to hear heavy power trio fusion from brandx, that's the album to get.
Yeah, it's not really a take a lady on a date kind of record driving around.
No, not at all. Not at all. But that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we're doing number 5 now.
Number 5.
I'm just smoking here. Do They Hurt? The kicker of this cover, it's got to be Hypnosis, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
She's wearing alligator shoes and she's walking into her house and there's an alligator in the driveway saying, no, you can't come by. And maybe an alligator purse too.
Yeah, right.
It's pretty clever. I like this album a lot. It's pretty wacky. Percy Jones just, and also John Giblin, I must say, is they're taking turns on every cut. And this is Phil Collins and a guy named Mike Clark from Herbie Hancock's Headhunters. And to tell you the truth, I love Collins a lot, but Mike Clark is phenomenal.
He is.
Yeah, this album is really good. There's a lot of great songs. It starts out with Naughty Goes to Sweden. And every time I read that, I think of the Slade singer.
Naughty Holder, yeah.
Yeah, I saw them, by the way. Open for
really?
Humble Pie in Vegas. Yeah, they weren't very good. But Humble Pie was great, but not Slade. Yeah, anyways, I don't have much to say about it. If you get the album, Monty Python's Michael Palin wrote the liner notes, and they're hilarious. They're really long. It takes forever. That's why I'm not going to do it, you know. Do They Hurt? Yeah, that's great stuff. I got to switch.
I like it. But I'm actually going to go with Product for number 5.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of a difference here. So, you know, some people may say, well, he's rating the main album in that trio of albums, you know, and I like this. This is their 4th album. You know, again, a lot of musicians on here. It's kind of like a transitioner period for them. They got, you know, Phil Collins is very busy. All these guys are busy doing all sorts of stuff. And so there's a lot of kind of coming and going right about here. But you got Phil on part of the album. Plus there's vocals on this album. I'm not a big fan of the vocals.
I like Don't Make Waves. I think that's a great song. Soho's kind of...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to hear vocals on a brandx album, I guess. For me. It's
there.
like, you know what? Phil's got his other band for that. That's how I always thought. Yeah. But you mentioned Mike Clark. He's terrific. You got Percy Jones and John Giblin both playing bass on the album. Here you've got J. Peter Robinson on keyboards, ex Quatermass, right? So you really never heard much of him outside of Quatermass, right? That's kind of like a, you know, very cool one and done, man. Rand's gonna go grab some props. There you go. Yeah,
love this album.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, you mentioned Don't Make Waves, and that kind of reminds me of like late 70s Genesis, like it could have come off of, and then there were 3. Dance of the Illegal Aliens. Did he perhaps steal part of that title for a future song? I don't know. You know, more traditional brandx type of fusion romp. You got Soho is kind of funky. Again, you see the vocals again. Not Good Enough to See Me is another really great song with some amazing bass from Percy Jones on it. Algon is a pretty cool fusion-y tune, kind of atmospheric. Resus Perplexus kind of has like a little bit of a kind of jazzy Latin jazz feel to it, which kind of reminds me of RTF a little bit. And what else we got here? And Soda F is a nice slow burn with some really cool guitar solos from Good Soul and really nice drumming from Phil Collins. So all in all, it's a very solid album. I like it. Maybe a little bit of a patchwork album, but I think all three of these albums that we've talked about are kind of similar, right? Because they're all basically from the same sessions. A lot of different guys coming and going, but still pretty damn strong, I think.
Well, bringing up the rear, number 4 is Product.
There you go.
Now I got to tell you something. That's Peter Robinson kicking the vending machine.
Oh, you know, I never noticed that. Yeah.
I have a 12-inch single that was buried in my closet that I didn't feel like looking for because there's just so much crap in there. That has that Soho and Dance of the Illegal Aliens and a thing called Pool Room Blues. And the cover of that single is Peter Robinson kicking the vending machine in a real photograph, not this kind of artistic looking thing. Phenomenal. Well, you talked about the songs, and Soda F is like awesome. It's a musician song because they actually do go to the key of F. The music starts in the key of D, and then by the time it's over, they jump into F, and it's so well done. That's my favorite tune on there. And then there's something called that you didn't talk about called Wall to Wall, which is John Giblin and Percy Jones just playing at the same time solos on their wall basses, WAL.
Pretty cool.
So yeah, they trade off. But that extra tune on that single, Pool Room Blues, you can listen to it on YouTube. It's the same thing as Wall to Wall. They're just doing a jam or whatever. And it didn't make the album for some reason.
Pretty cool.
I love Product. I think, you know what? The kicker of Don't Make Waves is it sounds like Genesis, but John Goodsoul wrote it.
Go figure, right?
All by himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Go figure. And I don't remember because I know like Robin Lumley plays keyboards on part of the album. So I don't remember who played on what songs, but yeah, you got like the whole cast of characters on this album for the most part. So, but yeah, it's definitely a cool album.
Yeah. It's got a funny title because it's anything but Product, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, I think.
Well, as a lot of these albums, I think are like, Do They Hurt, which is my number 4. Again, more kind of like Rand already said before, this is the second of the 3-part trilogy there of all the all the sessions from the Product sessions. But I kind of like, what it is? I think I got this one before I got the other 2. And I think this one is always kind of like, it's had more gestation time with me, so to speak. I think it might be the strongest out of the 3, but that's debatable. Naughty Goes to Sweden, which you mentioned, killer bass. I mean, we can't state highly enough how great of a bass player Percy Jackson is. Or Percy Jones, sorry, Percy Jackson. I'm thinking of the damn movie. Percy Jones, Voidorama is pretty cool. I like Fragile a lot. That's kind of has this kind of like Weather Report simmering fusion-y thing, very melodic with the bass solos all over the place. Cambodia is incredible. I mean, if you doubt that Good Soul can keep up with like McLaughlin or Demiola or Coriel, listen to Cambodia. I mean, he's just, going nuts. Triumphant Limp is another great song. You got DMZ, which again has kind of more of that funky feel to it. I don't know. I dig this a lot. I dig it a lot. But like you mentioned, they have no bad albums. So
yeah,
all good.
It's only getting better as we go,
Well, yeah. Now we're talking the cream of the crop, right? The absolute cream of the crop.
I think I might surprise you with my next one.
Okay.
You might go, what?
You might.
All right. Not drum roll. Moroccan Roll is my number 3. And this is unique. I mean, you can't really see it very well with this cover, but they're passing a joint on the back. And on the front cover, they actually write the word joint in those circles somewhere that has something to do with Morocco. I don't know. It's just a weird kind of concept. This is a great album. Malaga Virgin is my absolute favorite brandx song. Just sizzles.
That's
It's
incredible.
kind of like Al Di Meola's Race with Devil on Spanish Highway, which I got to see live, by the way, when UK opened for him. But yeah, what a night, right? Holdsworth and then Al Di Meola, 2 Al's. But anyways, my problem, not a problem, actually, is Sun in the Night, and it was written by Good Soul again, because I can read it right here. Phil Collins is singing in Hindu Sanskrit. It's not even English. And you talked about vocals kind of like not belonging on an album. That's what take this from 2 to 3 for me, because I don't particularly like that song.
Yeah.
And you know, when the band comes in, Percy, like, I have a fretless, right? You have to play on the line to be in tune. In this song, Percy doesn't seem to care about being in tune. I got a pretty good ear, and I can tell, you know, that growl. But he moves his notes around enough that you can't really tell too bad he's out of tune, because he doesn't stay in one place for very long. But yeah, it's like, I don't know what they were thinking. And it was produced by Dennis McKay. I didn't know that. I like him. Anyways, this song titles are funny on this. Why should I lend you mine when you've broken yours off already? Maybe I'll lend you mine after all. Those are 2 different songs. And it just seems like an improv jam to me. I don't really hear any kind of like, you know, Hate Zone's really good. Collapsar is really good. Disco Suicide is really good. And that was written by Robin Lumley. But Orbits is Percy Jones on an Echoplex with a fretless, which is really cool.
Mhm.
That's another one where he doesn't care if he's in tune, because he's all over just sliding all over the place. Malaga Virgin just smokes, especially on the Livestock album. Holy moly. That song is fast, man. And Macrocosm, that's another good one. But yeah, it's their second album. You know, I like it a lot. There's nothing wrong with it.
I hear you. And you got to love the title, right? Moroccan Roll, or more rock and roll. And it's actually not a very rock and roll album, right? In the traditional sense, but
not with the first song, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that first song, if they left it off, that's, well, anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. My number 3 is going to be Masks from 1978. Terrific album. I mean, you know, let's face it, their first 3 albums are just absolute classics. So here you got Phil Collins out and the incredible Chuck Berge in, the only album he would play on.
And we were like, who in the hell is Chuck Berge?
Yeah, well, Chuck, I mean, Rainbow,
that's what, yeah,
Oyster Cult, Meatloaf.
That's what they said. Yeah.
He's been in Billy Joel's.
All we knew about was Rainbow. He's a Rainbow drummer. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and even at the time, he wasn't even in Rainbow yet. So at the time, he was really a nobody. But he would kind of take this gig and go on to bigger and better things. And now he's been in Billy Joel's house band for, you know, like a million years now. So
don't go changing.
Yeah, you know. So here, Robin Lumley's out as well. Here you got Peter Robinson coming in. You got Morris Pert on percussion, who had a nice role in the band for a number of years. The Poke absolutely smokes. The Pope smokes. The Pope smokes. No, the Pope's not smoking. The Poke
smokes.
Poke is smoking. The title track is just absolutely great with some great bass lines. Deadly Nightshade is like an 11-minute scorcher. Just doesn't get much better than that.
I'm going to talk more about some of these songs because.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. So I won't spill it all here. But man, John.
No, it's all right. You should say what you want.
What else? Earth Dance is kind of funky. The Ghost of Mayfield Lodge is another kind of long piece, another highlight here. I just think like the musicianship on this album is really, really stellar. And the only reason I don't rate this higher is because I just absolutely love the next 2 I'm going to talk about.
I had a feeling you were going to do that.
But you could take these 3 and like if you're going to talk to anybody about brandx, right?
Yeah.
Who's never heard them before, what are you going to do? You're going to recommend these 3 albums. That's just the way it is, right? I mean, the others don't come close, in my opinion. They're all good, but these 3 that we're going to talk about now are just incredible. So with that, you're number 2.
Well, I remember, you know what? I still have the LP of this, by the way. The original LP from 1978.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Cool. This is my number 2. This is so good. You're right. You know, no Phil Collins, no Robin Lumley. Who cares? This album
didn't matter. Yeah, it didn't
killer.
matter.
It's got something that those later ones don't have. Compositional melodies. This Deadly Nightshade is my favorite song here. It was written by Morris Pert, and he came from a band called Sun Treader, which I don't have, but I've heard it's really good. All my friends had it. It's a beautiful album cover. I'll send it to you out of YouTube or something, because it's probably worth listening to. But Morris Pert's awesome.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, they just would call it percussion, but you have no idea what that would entail. He could be doing all kinds of things, you know.
Oh yeah, all sorts of sounds and textures and things going on these albums he's on. Yeah.
You were right about these songs. They're actual songs. They're good. Access to Data has some of the most blistering John Goodsall guitar ever. And you know what? It hurt him because he had, but this is before internet. We never had any way to find out things except for Rolling Stone. Go to a music store and ask to borrow Billboard or Circus magazine or things like that. The only way you could find things out. But anyway, he had to get carpal tunnel surgery because he was tensing up too much on these fast runs. He was trying to be Al Di Meola. And he's fast, there's no doubt about it. But if it hurts your health, it's not worth it.
No.
The Ghost of Mayfield Lodge was written by Percy, and it's just gorgeous. What a great way to end the album. But yeah, I love every tune on here. It's really good. This is an absolute, hope you don't mind me doing this, but
No.
what I say, 1978, right? Passport Records. See that?
Yep.
Literally mint. And I don't even put covers on. I just try to be careful with them, you know. But yeah, it's good stuff as well. Definitely one of my favorites. That baby rocks.
Interesting. The song title "Access to Data." You know, back in 1978,
Mm-hmm.
people not talking about data too much. 2020, that's all people talk about, right? So interesting. Song
Well,
title.
I had a good friend in Sacramento that liked prog, and he took me down to his college one time, and we went into his computer room, and he had to do something, and he said, "I'm going to use a data card," and he had a card about this long, had all kinds of holes punched in it, and he put it in, and it did something, and that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
That was data.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it means, but
A little bit different today, right?
oh my gosh, yeah.
A little bit different. All right. The top two, not much separates these two for me. But my number one has like a handful of songs that I just love, even though I think my number two might be a little stronger, top to bottom, start to finish. My number two is their debut, Unorthodox Behavior.
Oh,
I mean, it's this album's cranks, right? I mean, 1976 is their debut. Nuclear Burn, amazing. You got the blazing guitar, the spacey keyboards, the bass and drums going berserk all over the place. I think, you listen to this album, all four of these guys are absolute virtuosos, right? You got Euthanasia Waltz, which mixes in some acoustic guitars, just Fender Rhodes, great stuff. You got Born Ugly, which is like real Return to Forever type burner. Smacks of Euphoric Hysteria is kind of funky, kind of proggy, just Running on Three is just high energy fusion. The whole album is really great. And I think, maybe for the first time, Phil Collins on those early Genesis albums, he displays a lot of his talents. But I mean, if you like really never paid attention to Phil Collins and then you heard this album, you're like, whoa, that cat can absolutely play those drums, right? Seriously. But his love was jazz. I mean, that's what it always was, jazz and pop music. So yeah, this is a classic. Could be my number one, but I think my number one I like just a little bit better for a couple of reasons, which I'll get to in a couple of minutes.
Well, that's fine. I'm glad it worked out that way, because obviously my number one is going to be Unorthodox Behavior.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if that's Phil Collins or not. I always thought it was, but maybe not.
I
Maybe
don't
not.
know.
Somebody said it was Tony Stratton Smith, the
Could be.
Genesis arranger. But the
Could-
Venetian blinds are pretty cool. What pretty cool cover. Now, I told you the story last night about my friends and what they did. You mind if I tell it here?
Sure.
They ordered the album from England because you couldn't get it here in America. And I'd go over to their house and stuff, and I'd see it sitting there, and I go, "Why don't you play that?" And they go, "No, you're not ready for that." They kept doing that for like 2 weeks. "You're not ready for brandx." I went, "Yeah, I want to hear it. It's got Phil Collins on it. Of course I want to hear it." So finally they said, "Okay, you're ready for brandx." So they started out, of course, with Nuclear Burn. And my jaw was just like,
On the floor.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how good this band was. It just blew my mind. This is their best album in my opinion. And it means, so much to me because my friends and who I no longer am with because that was over in Eureka, California, and I'm in Redding now, 150 miles away. And my best friend passed away in 1999. So we'll never see each other again. So anyways, not to be maudlin about things, but anyways, that album just, like you said, you picked them all out. The title cut, Unorthodox Behavior, they're just going insane for like 8 minutes. There doesn't seem to be any kind of like direction, but I love it. I love it. And Touch Wood is all acoustic, which was really rare for those guys.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever did it again. But yeah, Euthanasia Waltz and Smacks of Euphoric Hysteria, all that stuff is good. I mean, it's just, it compares so well with at the time, like earlier than actually Dixie Dregs. We got into them.
Yeah.
I remember my friend Billy said, "You know what? You ever notice on Dixie Dregs album, there's no vocalist?" Oh yeah, maybe we should check those guys out. If nobody's singing, maybe they're playing like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good. So
obviously we know what my number one is.
yes, sir, boss.
Moroccan roll. So, it's funny, I was, and I know he's probably watching, George Lamy, who guested on our Chicory Electric Band show. He was telling me the other day how he doesn't get why some people love this so much. And I get that. And I think, Rand brought up a couple of really good points. Sun in the Night, which kicks it off, is pretty terrible. I usually skip right over that.
You know what's worse? Me trying to sing it.
I don't know why you'd want to, but yeah, it's
a nice melody.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't belong on this album, right? It just kind of
No.
it kind of kicks things off in a weird way. But I love the rest of it. And I like how there's kind of a little bit of this kind of like, Middle Eastern vibe going on some of the songs, which is kind of cool. Hate Zone just absolutely kicks all sorts of ass.
I know. I love that song.
Good Soul is just great on that. I like Why Should I Lend You Mine, the big long piece. I think that's pretty cool.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's a little rambling, I guess, but but I still like it. What else we got? Disco Suicide is kind of airy and spacey, but still pretty complex. Milagro Virgin is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love the Fender Rhodes playing off the guitar. It's just really, really cool.
I think tunes like Los Endos and Watt Gorilla inspired songs like Milagro Virgin.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Same kind of thing. We just called that Balls Out.
Yeah, and instead here you got, Good Soul really, rampaging on here, where I think is, Hackett was always a little more restrained on a lot of the Genesis stuff.
Oh yeah.
Macrocosm is great on here. I like the kind of, you got some lengthy songs on here, some, shorter ones. You got Orbits, which is pretty quick, and Collapsar, but I don't know. Disco Suicide is great. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but I just, you take out like maybe the first track, and I think this is a really, really tight album. like I said, I think that Unorthodox Behavior probably top to bottom a little stronger, but there's like 3 or 4 songs on here that I just love more than I like anything on here. And I think that's the reason why this is my number 1. And I love this album cover.
It's a great cover.
Always have. I always have.
And the back cover is good too.
It is. Yeah. I mean, you can't really see it because you got all the lettering on there, but and there are the guys in the band right there.
I don't know why the reissue decided to put in that you can't see the whole thing kind of thing.
Yeah, that kind of sucks, because you're blocking the sitar and whatever kind of keyboards are on here. It's hard to tell, but very, very cool. I dig it. But you know what? Like we said before, it's like if you're new to this band and you're watching this show, just go right out and get these immediately.
What was your first one again? I forgot.
What's that?
That you first bought, the first one you
the first one I got was Do They Hurt?
Oh yeah. Okay,
that was my first purchase of brandx, and I got that. Jeez, I mean, I wasn't listening to these guys when they were, an active band in the late 70s, early 80s. I didn't get into them till much later in the 80s. So that, for whatever reason, this is the first one I got, because I thought it was the coolest album cover, because it is pretty cool. I like alligators. I was like, oh, it looks pretty cool. So I picked that up first. I was like,
cool.
Yeah, I picked that up. I was like, oh, I like that. So then I went out and got, these 3 and, but a good catalog. Like you said, no bad albums. I would say this is definitely the weakest. If you're looking to grab a bunch of it, hold off on this one for now. But those first 3 are great, product, good stuff. Good stuff. A really talented band.
And if you don't want to pay the exorbitant price of Is There Anything About It, the whole thing is sitting there on YouTube. Just go watch it. Listen to it.
Yeah. So we didn't put into our ranking the live albums,
but
I
spend most of my time.
Oh yeah, you go down the rabbit hole there. It's crazy, right? But Rand did want to show. I think Rand's got some stuff to show off here.
I got some show and tell.
Yeah, they got a bunch of great live albums and stuff that are worth checking out if you can.
Well, the first thing I wanted to show was the box set called Nuclear Burn. This is amazing. If you want to get a good deal, this is 4 discs covering every studio album except for Is There Anything About, plus bonus BBC disc and stuff like that with the booklet. You like to do booklets and stuff.
Yep.
I'm terrible at this stuff. Anyway, you gotta, So with the booklet and everything, and it's so good. It's a fat boy. Less than $30 on Amazon.
Can't beat that.
Can't beat that. So that's right. I decided to show the LPs if I could. This is Livestock. Pretty crazy album cover. I'd say that's a Hypnosis right there.
Looks like it.
There's no car, but you can see her getting out of the door. It's like a different dimension or something. This is a smoking album, but they got a different drummer to play with Phil, I guess. Kenwood Dennard, and he kind of comes up later in the what do you call it, the reunion brandx band that has been touring pretty extensively, where I got my shirt from last year in Sacramento, and they have been putting out things like this, But Wait, There's More, which is a great title. Okay, let's see, get my hands out of the way.
Nice.
Yeah, real nice, 2 discs. And then they put out another one when we went and saw them. They had this one called Locked and Loaded, which is cool. I think it's only, this is 2 discs. No, 1 disc. If they bend, it's 1 disc. And then there's the Blu-ray of the Rites of Spring Festival 2018, Rosfest.
Yeah.
And it's got a pretty cool UFO right there. Would you believe that I haven't even watched this yet?
Oh, I think you got something to do this weekend, right?
Yeah. And then John Goodsall was out of brandx for a while, and he started a band called Fire Merchants. Great stuff. This is the second one, called Landlords of Atlantis. I don't really like the front cover, but the back cover is incredible. We should have used that for the front cover, right? And this has John Goodsall and Dennis Chambers on drums.
Dennis Chambers is
I can't
amazing.
remember who plays bass. It's a trio. They're really good. I think it's a trio, yeah. And then Percy Jones did an album, his very first solo album called Cape Catastrophe. And when I saw them, he signed it for me. And that is the end of my show and tell.
Cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
I had a chance to see brandx. They played literally like 10 minutes from my house like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I couldn't make it for whatever the reason was. And I was like, oh, man, how can I not head over to the Town Crier in Beacon and go see brandx? Man, I don't even remember what the deal was, but I was very upset about it.
You know about this?
What does that say?
Marscape.
Marscape. No.
Yeah, it's Jack Lancaster from Blodwyn Pig and Robin Lumley.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Listen to the guest musicians on this, Pete. John Goodsall, Percy Jones, Philip Collins, Bernie Frost, Morris Pert, Simon Jeffs. This is a great album.
Wow, it sounds it.
It's not fast. It's brandx on a slow album, but it's really good. It's a chill. It's a chill album. I like it a lot.
Cool. Wow, never heard of that.
Yeah, Marscape.
Very good. So there you have it, everybody. A little dive into the catalog of brandx. So if you haven't listened to them, go out and check them out. Report back. Let us know what you think. More importantly, you brandx aficionados out there, I want to see how you guys rank this catalog. So give us your top. What do we do? 8 here. Rank them in the order you like them. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here. We all hear these albums differently. And go get your break. Could you still get that somewhere? You can probably get that on the internet somewhere, right? The brandx T-shirt. You can probably get it up there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I bought it from the band, so yeah, they probably go to the website and find it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a little
very cool.
A little tight. It's a little tight for me. I didn't get the right size, but you know what? For this show, I was willing to be crushed.
There you go. Well, I want to thank Rand Kelly for coming on for this latest edition of Viewer Appreciation Day. And go out and listen to some brandx, and please go out and celebrate and listen to the music of Edward Van Halen. We're going to miss him.
Oh yeah.
Tragic loss. So don't want to forget that. So make sure you visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube.
All the damn time.
There you go. We didn't even rehearse that one. Very good. Your first time on the show, you did it just like that.
Now like programming.
This is someone who watches a lot of these shows. So very, very
You're
cool.
my favorite show. I'm on YouTube all the time. I watch Perry Mason and you.
All right. Hey, I'm ranking up there with Perry Mason. That's pretty good.
Oh, and General Hospital. We like that too.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, I just want to tell everybody, and you, I mean, especially you, it was a real honor that you chose me. I really appreciate it. I had a great time. Thank you so much. Cool. And everybody, please like and share his videos when you watch them, because it shows up on those statistics.
That's right. Well, thank you, Rand. I appreciate the kind words. It's great having you on here. Let's see. What do we got coming up here on the channel? So tomorrow morning, bright and early, really bright and early, Simon Bray is coming back on the show. We are going to rank the studio catalog of the great Southern rock band Point Blank. What else? We got Martin Popoff and Chris Allo coming up in a couple days for another rant. This one is about fake out album covers, where you buy an album because you look at the album cover, it looks really cool, you think it's going to be one thing, and then you go home and you listen to it and it's something completely different. So that's coming up on Thursday. And then oh my Lord, what else is coming? We got so much stuff going on. You know what, I'm losing track. I'm going to be ranking the catalog of Agitation Free coming up over the next couple days. We've got who else is so many people coming on the show over the next week or so. Butch Jones will be back on the show in about another week and a half. We've got Mr. Guitar Hack is coming on the show next week. We're going to give our favorite guitar solos from Ace Frehley. That's next week. What else? Lars Erik Mattsson, the great guitar hero from Scandinavia, is coming on the show to help me talk about favorite guitar solos of Uli John Roth. That's also next week. And,
I like Uli John Roth.
Yeah, so much stuff coming up. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. Oh, and I don't have it 100% confirmed yet, but blues guitar virtuoso Walter Trout is also coming on the show for an interview. I'm hoping that happens later this week, but we'll kind of see what happens. So yeah, so a lot of good things happen here on the channel. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll see you real soon. Take care. And Rand, thanks again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.